Hi there, I'm Dave Marks and welcome to my second reality check video. This video is about getting organised. It's something a lot of musicians struggle with. A lot of musicians are crap at actually. I mean, everybody struggles with it from time to time. I have times where I get completely overloaded with work and it's very hard to stay on top of all the things that you've agreed to do. But there are some basic approaches and ideas you can apply to keep yourself reasonably well organised most of the time. The first one is your diary. Make sure you have an effective diary. Now, I mean a big diary. Don't have a little, a diary that size where you can 3 days and there's a line. No, I use iCal on the Mac. I think you can use, is it called Entourage or something like that on the PC? There's a program for it. These sort of computer diaries are really, really useful. You can get them to send you email warnings a few weeks before a gig to say, make sure to learn the tunes or whatever. You can map things out. You can link it through to the details of the venue so that you know the address of where you're going or the phone number of the band leader so that you can call them to ask for stuff or whatever it is. But keeping those things organised is really important. One of the worst things you can do for your reputation as a musician is double book yourself. If you have agreed to do 2 different gigs on the same night, it means one person you're going to let down. You're going to have to agree to a gig and then pull it on them. Now, with a month's notice, that's not a big deal. If you don't realise that you've double booked yourself and you call them the day before, I can't do the gig, that's pretty destructive stuff. Band leaders that I've worked with, I've personally, I don't think I've ever managed to double book myself that close in advance on a gig, but I've seen other guys do it, and I've been the guy they've called in when someone else is double booked like that, and they generally, it's not good. It's not well received at all. So don't do it. So a good diary, as I say, take down things like get all the details you can before a gig. Find out what time you have to be there. Find out what time the sound check is at. Find out what time you're on stage and what time you're off. Find out what time you can get out of the venue. Those are just basic details. Take a phone number for the guy who's arranging the gig. If you can, maybe take the address and phone number of the venue so that you know where you're going to. And then find out in advance, not on the day, how long it's going to take for you to get there. I have done this a few times where I think I know how long it's going to take to get somewhere. I make a plan, so say I think I'm going to get to the gig at 4 o'clock. I think it should take me 2 hours to get there. I go out into the car, I put on my TomTom sat-nav thing, and it says 2.5 hours. And I only have 2 hours to get there. I haven't planned this well enough in advance. So now what I do is I make sure that whenever I get a gig, I have my TomTom with me in my room. I type in the details of how long it's going to get from where I live in London to wherever the gig is. And then I add 30 minutes to that just in case. And that way I know whenever I need to leave the house. And again, I put that in the diary, in the gig. I write in travel time, so I block out that little 3 hours, for example, that it's going to be to get to this gig that's somewhere up north, for example. And that way I know when I need to leave the house, and also I have an idea about when I'm going to get back. Things like getting in from a gig at 3 a.m. and getting up the next morning to go to work at 8 a.m. It's doable, but you can't do it all the time. So you need to ditch one thing or the other, or move your work, if you can move it from starting at 9 to starting at 12, if it's private lessons or if it's a session or something like that. As I say, you can do those things, but after a couple of weeks of doing it quite a lot, you'll find you just start to slide as a person. You're tired all the time, you're in a bad mood, you're not really playing very well, your organisation just goes out the window. So avoid those things if it's at all possible. So make sure to keep your diary, get all the details of the gig, and figure out how long it's going to take you to get there and get home, so you can get a really, really good idea of what you're away for. And then think about the money that you're earning on the gig, and think about the time that you're away from home, and think about the cost of the travel to get to the gig. So you need to subtract the travel costs and possibly food costs from the wage of the gig. Then divide that up and think, what is my hourly rate? Now, some gigs we do for love and some gigs we do for fun, but we need to make sure that we have at least a reasonable amount of money coming in for the amount of work that we're doing. Another thing that helps is to take, if you have a laptop, take that to the gig sometimes if you've got work you need to get through. That can be useful. Or a book, maybe there's something you're studying or some charts that you need to read up on for someone else's gig. An iPod and the charts, you can use the dead time between sound check and the gig to get on with other things. Anyway, I don't want to make this first video talking about organisation too long. I'll post another one in a little bit with some more thoughts. Hope this has been helpful, and I'll see you next time.